And so now it is my pleasure. This one was a personal one for me. I think this might be a little controversial with chefs. I love brunch. Love it. So I was looking at Chef Sayat's Delita menu and was like cursing myself that am not closer to San Francisco because they have a really beautiful brunch menu. And I think it's a menu that you can be really creative with, but I also know that chefs sometimes don't appreciate it as much as other things. So this session is Brunch All Day, Eastern Mediterranean Inspiration, California Bounty, and it is my pleasure. We'll start off our presentation with some menu insights from Nancy Cruz. Nancy, you may know if you've been to Worlds of Flavor before. She's a menu analyst, a food writer, and president of the Cruz Company in St. Paul, Minnesota. And Chef Sayat Erjilmaz, did I get that close? I know I apologize, Chef. But he's family. He is an alum of the CIA, has spent some time with us, was the former chef at our Grove restaurant, was just a pleasure to work with. And then he is the chef owner of Delita, along with his wife, Laura, in San Francisco, a restaurant just receiving rave reviews, and in that beautiful Presidio area. So really just peak San Francisco. So I'm gonna hand it over to Nancy, and we're excited to have this presentation.
Thank you very much. And welcome, everybody. And despite the rather unhappy reputation that brunch enjoys with chefs, the fact is that coming out of COVID, it was the #1 most popular day part with consumers. It has remained at the top of their list, which has just provided extraordinary creativity fodder for you chefs. So I'm very quickly going to take us through some wonderful examples. I'm going to set the stage for Chef Sayat, and I'm going to start, believe it or not, with a look back. So if you're like me and you analyze food trends, you think brunch is something brand new, but no. Believe it or not, it is from the 19th century, the British Hunter's Weekly, a British hunter entered a plea. Please, can we get out from under on these boring breakfasts? We want something that's sociable, talk compelling, conducive to a good mood, totally contemporary. And that's my jumping off point. I'm going to show you 3 major trends that are driving brunch development, starting where it always starts, right? With comfort. That's the basis of all of your menus. This is Comfort Plus, and thank you to Chef Sayat. Turkish eggs. I'm seeing them pop up in a number of restaurants around the country. Note the elements here. Greens. If this is not plant forward, it is plant present, and that to me is a huge takeaway from this conference. Yogurt, another star. Chubby pita sounds like somebody I dated once. No. No, here I'm putting you in Chicago. This is from the wonderful Melman Empire. Let us entertain you. Abba, Hebrew for father. Here you see how they've elevated shakshuka. We've seen a lot of it throughout the conference. Note here the short ribs, right? Absolutely raises this dish. Please note also the presentation. We don't have time today to talk about the continuing importance of cast iron and why it remains one of your best presentation friends, but you're going to see it on a recurring basis. How about this? Hash. Hash has gone from humble to really hot stuff. Here we're in Phoenix with Hash Kitchen. It's a chain. Note again, Greek cucumber salad. Of course, I love the tzatziki hollandaise. Interesting touch there. Lovely, sort of bountiful presentation. Yeah, talking about going from humble to hot stuff. Polenta. right? This to me looks a bit like a play on shakshuka. Beautiful how this presents. Take a look, please, at the use of produce, vegetables. And borrowing from the Spanish kitchen, I'm seeing piquillos and romesco. Here, I did want to say a quick word about the chef at First Watch and his team. This is Chef Shane Shabley, arguably the most influential corporate chef in the business today. And if you just saw their quarterly results from First Watch that came out Monday, you can see why. What I like about this dish is that Chef Shane is absolutely true to form. He's going to use the Italian name, which suggests there's somebody who knows their business in the kitchen. You know, for Americans, that's a badge of authenticity. But wait, because we don't, most of us speak Italian, immediately translates. It's the Italian-style omelet, which makes it approachable. All right, so comfort is a driving trend. Healthful, absolutely. Here we're in Atlanta, the Daily Sister concept to butcher and the bee, which has been very influential in the Southeast. But now look here, we've got a double dose of protein. You know that protein is hands down our favorite macronutrient. It is the #1 better for you descriptor on menus. And last year in supermarkets, almost half of new products boasted enhanced protein. Again, you see the vegetal elements, the flavor elements. This is a breakfast sandwich of a very high order. Come on, Agnes, look what we've got here. We're in Houston. The idea of something that can be so good for you, but also so indulgent and sophisticated, right? Look at the wonderful ingredient choices here. Walnuts, Bulgarian yogurt. I don't know if Agnes is flying over herself, but this is just a seriously merchandisable dish. She's in Houston. I hardly know what to say about Molly. Now we're in New Orleans. I've been showing this slide since I first came across this dish, so it's been 3 years, I think, plus or minus. Again, yogurt, which has been an undercurrent of the entire conference. Carrot marmalade. I think this would appeal to anybody, but in my mind, I see this on campuses. This is a good college dining opportunity. Now we're in Boston. Tatya, Hebrew for daddy. This is the wonderful Israeli-American chef Surit Or. She is a baker. Look how she takes shakshuka and gives it that healthful spin. She gives it flavor, and she finishes it with her signature sourdough bread. And this, talking about vegetable forward, campus diners, I know some of you are here, you know it's still true that the highest percentage of vegetarians in the population reside on college campuses. They identify as vegetarian. This is from Libanais in Chicago. This is right off their brunch menu. And again, it seems to me there's lots and lots of opportunity here to take this and make it work for you, regardless of whether you're on campus or not. So, I know I'm kind of roaring through this, but we took a look at comfort. We're finishing off a look at healthful. And of course, we've got to say something about indulgence, particularly at brunch, particularly post-COVID. What a dish. I don't know if you eat it or it eats you. It's just a massive hunk of tiramisu. And you know the tiramisu story. This is relatively new to the country, right? It came in the 1980s, roughly, on that wave of northern Italian cuisine. The Venetians claim it, but there's a lot of internal fighting going on regionally over who's responsible. But this is just one of those kind of irresistible things. Here now is indulgence from a savory perspective. And what I really like about this, look at the first ingredient. They've taken this hugely popular, very trendy vodka tomato sauce. they've moved it from the evening to the morning. It suggests to me opportunity maybe for a Bloody Mary pizza. This isn't, no, really, no, this isn't quite there, but it's got some things going for it. As you run down the list, you see Southern Italian chilies, Having a Moment, Calabrians, Jimmy's, if you know Jimmy Nardello's, and certainly lovely sort of culinary fingerprints here with fennel pollen. Okay, carbonara. Why aren't you all doing it for brunch, right? I mean, think about it. It's kind of bacon and eggs, maybe a little cream, maybe on the left. Holy smoke, this is food porn. It's just, yikes. OEB, Canadian chain, they are expanding through California and Arizona. On the right, a little bit more sedate, but still very sexy, it seems to me, from Miami, carbonara eggs Benedict. On the right-hand side, that is finished with a dollop of caviar. On the left-hand side, it is finished with a brown butter hollandaise. Yeah, I know. Okay, I've got to put this in here. I didn't know where exactly in the presentation, but this is a very, very, very big deal. The single hottest category in the business today in terms of new product development is in the beverage category, and specifically non-alcoholic beverages. It has become a focal point. It has been extraordinary. 5 years ago, I never would have forecast this. And to the issue at hand, the Mediterranean kitchens, well, yeah, absolutely. From the brunch perspective, there's coffees, there's teas. Here I'm showing you this wonderful pomegranate on the right. Fasten your seatbelts for Rose, everybody. It's starting to pick up steam on TikTok, and we all know what that means. All right, so I started with wonderful Chef Sayat's Turkish eggs. I'm going to close the loop now as I move out of the presentation, but I absolutely love the title of this because this is what we're talking about, right? California meets, in this case, Persian cuisine. Tadig, it is the crispy rice, in this case, saffron rice. Look at the extraordinary luxury here, the beautiful, beautiful plate presentation. Very sophisticated, very elegant, very nicely done. So, big finish. The brunch outlook is exceptionally bright, and I can say that because it is the #1 favorite day part of Gen Z. That's great news for you, right? It's this next generational wave, and you're habituating them to brunch. And the reason why it seems to me that this is especially appealing to them is the experiential piece, right? This takes me right back to our British hunting gentleman who said, can't we just all get together and talk, and it's congenial and it's fun, it's an experience. And nowhere is that experience more suited to a day part than the Eastern Mediterranean kitchen. Take a look at this beautiful breakfast board. It's taking the charcuterie notion now, but putting it into the brunch day part. You see abundance. You see flavor. It is sweet. It is savory. I see greens there. It's hands-on. It's shareable. It is everything that the Eastern Mediterranean cuisine and kitchen have come to represent. And with that, I can't think of anything better to do at this point than to turn the stage over to our chef, Sayat Erzimas from Dalida. Chef.
Thank you, Nancy. You know, Nancy never stops to amaze me. When I first listened to her in Atlanta at a lamb conference, actually, and it was an incredible presentation, as it always is. Thank you for the opening. So, I mean, I kind of want to build on some of the ideas that Nancy started talking about, and one of them is chefs don't like brunch. I love brunch. So if you are a chef that doesn't like brunch, you should go out into the dining room and see how happy people are. right? I think like we live for connection. Like, what else do you want except people being happy, right? So I mean, I think people are particular in the mornings. Like, I want my eggs in a certain way. You know, I want my oranges. If you don't have orange juice at a restaurant, like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. However, once you know where people are coming from, like why they have those expectations, just take it easy and take care of them. I really love brunch. Laura and I have always loved brunch. Laura is my wife. She's also in the audience. It's our restaurant, Dalida. We've been cooking this brand of Eastern Mediterranean food for the last 10 years. In fact, she was inspired by our trip. We did a stage show. We're both CIA alums. 2014, we met in culinary school in Hyde Park. I'm Armenian from Istanbul. She's Mexican. And you know, we were working at these intense 3 Michelin star restaurants in New York. And then we took a trip out, you know, to California. We worked at 20 different restaurants. You know, it was an incredible experience. And we arrived in San Francisco. I mean, we worked at those restaurants because we couldn't afford to eat. So, you know, that's basically with the driver. But we arrived in San Francisco with $3,000 in our bank account, and we built a little home for ourselves. Our restaurant is in the Presidio. Dalida is in a national park site. We grow a lot of our herbs and vegetables, but we rely heavily on our farming community in Northern California, which is, in my opinion, by far the best. I've eaten a lot of places in the world, and I talked to my Satsuma farmer, Nick, who also produces all our tomatoes in summer, maybe twice a week. I mean, I see him twice a week, but we're also chatting all the time. Hey, what's going on in your farm? When are the, you know, young Satsumas ending? And when is your beets growing to the size that I want them? It's just, you know, this idea of connection. And speaking about connection, she mentioned another thing, and I think Nancy was alluding to potentially a boyfriend in Chicago that might have been called Chubby Pita, but I always joke in our dining room that the Chubby Pitas are named after me. So it's Laura's recipe. In fact, it was inspired by something that a CIA chef, Chef Migoya, put together, and then we've adapted it to what works for us and like our restaurant and our scale, and it's a delicious pita. And everything revolves around connection at our restaurant, and then connection is built through breaking bread. That's the Chubby Pita. So my presentation is about this particular emulsion called Ivar. Ivar is Eastern European, not exactly Mediterranean, but I'll demonstrate that, you know, it's as Mediterranean as, you know, Ajika, Muhammara, or Caponara, or Romesco that you've already heard about. You change one ingredient and the pepper emulsion becomes something else, right? So same thing with eggplants, mutabbal, bechamel. You add tahini to eggplant, it becomes mutabbal. You add garlic to it, it becomes baba ganoush with olive oil. You add bechamel to it, it becomes Sultan's Delight, which basically eats like polenta. So one of the things we do is actually use this eggplant bechamel thing as a pizza or a Turkish flatbread, like a khachapuri sauce. But the idea is, you know, all these roasted vegetables and, you know, added ingredients are basically a preserved product. That's one of the reasons I get excited about our cuisine in the Eastern Mediterranean. It's really light, fresh, and vegetable forward, but also it really helps with food service, right? A lot of the things that we cook are preserved with olive oil and vinegars and citrus, and all of a sudden you have a whole pantry that you can basically whip out and have it taste fresh and delicious at any point. So I'm going to start the cooking side. Maybe we can turn on the camera. I have already these vegetables burning. My intention was actually getting the room smelling, but I think our hoods are so effective that you're probably not smelling them. But so, you know, I love going to the farmer's market. I go to 3 of them every week. And, you know, we run a very technique-driven, but also product-focused restaurant, right? So there's some dishes that are just product on a plate kind of thing. Obviously, we do a lot of things to it. But there are a lot of things like böreks and flatbreads and, you know, the California tadik that are technique driven as well. But Laura and I have always been obsessed with product. That's why we grow some of our things, and now we're taking another step to build a garden. But in the first presentation earlier, I cooked a celery root. And the whole idea with olive oil cooking is basically, if you use enough, it basically preserves it, right? So a lot of the conservas from Spain and Italy, a lot of canned vegetables in Europe, even canned tuna is covered with olive oil. So this is a celery root. If you've taken the bites that I was serving yesterday, it had 2 bites, right? There was a beef tartare, a kibenaya, a raw kibbeh. Kibbeh means diced meat in Lebanese. We cook a lot of Levantine food too in our Eastern Mediterranean restaurants. So that's a Levantine dish specifically from around Lebanon, Syria. The Levant is basically the west part of Mesopotamia. I'm trying to build the map in your heads. So it basically is referred to as the Fertile Crescent because the area covers sort of part of Egypt, east of Nile, Jordan, Israel, Palestine, Syria, parts of Iraq, and then southeastern Turkey. So that area is where a lot of these ideas, a lot of these dishes are coming from, and we celebrate that area too. So I talked about 2 dishes. Those were the 2 bites on the plate yesterday at my station. You might have seen this sign there yesterday. One of them was a poached celery root. So when I come back from the market with my mom when I was a kid, we would go every Thursday and we would bring all these vegetables and lay them out on the table in Büyükada, which is where I grew up. It's an island off of Istanbul. Only horse carriages and pedestrians and bicycles was the world that I lived in for 5 months out of the year. And then we would basically take all these vegetables from the market and either burn them, literally just like as I'm doing right now, and then turn them into baba ganoush or other emulsions or preserved emulsions, if you will, or we would poach them to basically have meals ready and also capture the flavor and the best moments, right? So this is a plate basically of the celery roots that I served yesterday. So the poaching liquid is on the plate. There's satsumas. It can be any citrus. And at Dalida, literally, this is a plate that we served with a dill emulsion with a little bit of barrel-aged feta and, citrus sprigs. It looked a little bit fancier, but this is how my mom and I, or, my sister and my dad would eat it. If I came back from water polo practice or something like that, I would just sit down and eat a veggie. And maybe, if I'm lucky, a grilled meat. So this is one preparation with olive oil. And the one that I want to talk about right now is the second one. So I made a beef kibenaya. Maybe a couple dozen of you have tried it. You might remember it was on a spoon. It had a shaved cheese over it yesterday. So in that tartare, I brought a lot of different Mediterranean ingredients together to make a comforting bite. And I think it's a really brunchable bite as well, a tartare. I always think about stomach space. People want to indulge with an egg dish and everything, but if you can give them an intrigue on your menu that is not exactly going to break the bank, like our California tadig, because it's commodity driven too, right? It's a fresh urchin on top, it's a $50 plate. But our beef tartare is, for instance, a $28 plate. So the idea is if you're not occupying a lot of stomach space, but still exciting the palates or the menu reading eyes, somehow you can also sort of get your check averages excited, right? So the emulsion that I'm going to make is called Ivar, and it's Eastern European. And it basically provided a smoky backdrop to the beef tartare that I was making. I call it tartare kibenaya, right? And we used the charred eggplant, we peeled it, we used charred peppers, we peeled it, and we made emulsion with a lot of olive oil, and that provides the creaminess and the flavor backdrop. Obviously, a lot of acidity and a lot of bitterness coming from it to sort of make it a very balanced plate because, there's a lot of sort of masculinity coming from the eggplants, but we have a lot of sweetness coming from the peppers too. So to balance that out, we use plenty of olive oil. And then there were these bacon bits, is the way I think about it, but they're basically little crispy pieces of pastrama in the tartare and a little bit of shaved cheese. So I am describing this dish and, bringing you back to the memory of yesterday's bite because all these Middle Eastern emulsions are incredibly versatile as well, right? So they're olive oil emulsions. They can become a sauce. They can become a vessel. We serve on our tasting menu a sweetbread with, roasted mushrooms and jus over a bed of delicious hummus, right? So that's one. We also just serve hummus with a chubby pita, right? So, but they can also become a ajika, for instance. Ajika is a word that you might be familiar with. It's basically roasted peppers and walnuts and pomegranate molasses and everything. So we use ajika as a flatbread sauce, and it's a vegan flatbread sauce, but with the walnuts and the olive oil, it just has so much flavor. You don't have to do too much. We just put a little bit of feta and a little bit of mushrooms on top, and it's a delicious vegan, well, without the cheese, vegan flatbread. So I want to do, so before I start peeling the veggies, I'll take this guy. So I'm going to do something silly. A lot of us are like incredibly passionate about peeling the eggplant because that's how we've been shown. So the idea is, one day Laura and I were roasting these eggplants and then taking the peel and dehydrating it and turning it into ash. And I'm like, what if we just left it all inside? I guess I don't need the knife, really. I sometimes think I need a knife, but I don't. So I'm just trying to, do you guys see how well cooked this is? Let me see. Yeah, it's basically falling apart. And I dropped the tail in there. That's what I'm trying to hunt out, but okay. Hi. That's okay. I have these. Then it's fine. So, and then this is basically very well cooked eggplant. We're going to put this delicious, we're demonstrating Catalonia olive oil, right? That's the conference, but we use an olive oil at Darida that's produced in Cloverdale, Hillsburg area, and it's delicious, and I'm very passionate about it. It's Olio Novo season, actually, when you get pita at Darida on your way to the airport. Make sure you ask for a side of olive oil. And that way I know you were at the conference. So I'm basically, this emulsion will make a black sort of baba ganoush, right? So we're going to put a little bit of garlic in there. I just want to demonstrate the color really quick. So allow me to blend this. And, the point really I'm trying to make with this is like, we often feel uncomfortable innovating with somebody else's cuisine. So that, as a Middle Easterner, as an Armenian from Turkey, I give you license to do whatever you want to with the food. I'm serious. Like, I don't think it needs to be that uptight. Ooh, this is not authentic. This is not this. I think food evolves. I mean, we were talking about the tadik, the urchin, right, earlier. But so this is just a beautiful texture. I think one thing that I'm not incredibly happy with is if we show this liquid here, so you see how once the vegetables are roasted, that liquid comes out. And that liquid doesn't really go into this. I just wanted to demonstrate it quickly, so we would have let it sit and then drain. But this basically canals beautifully. It can be a super fine dining thing. We serve it with our dry aged steak at Darida, and it's basically we serve it with 2 grilled sauces. One of them is with tomatoes called ezme, which you might have heard at other sessions in this conference. And this one is basically eggplant based. So the one that I'm really demonstrating, let's see, I think I'm going to find a different, yes. I'll find a different, actually, Chef Rebecca, who's the magic behind all these presentations, is the one who's going to go find it. But for the Ivar, we're actually going to peel the veggies because it's this tool, I call it a tool, this component is basically something we created specifically to pair with the beef tartare, right? So as you see, these have rested, and they're sort of a lot easier to peel than what you would get straight from the grill. And I'm also using my hands because we like washing our hands, but it's also a demonstration. It's a little bit easier. So we'll take the seeds out for this purpose, but I'm not going to make the same effort for the eggplant, for instance. There are seeds in eggplant, and we choose specific varietals of eggplant to avoid the seeds, but I'm also not, the seeds provide bitterness. They're supposed to have a little bit more nicotine in them and everything, but really, it's not a huge deal. I'm not a purist. I have a lot of chef friends that are purists about this. I mean, we talked about all these emulsions as I was sort of muscling through, the different ingredients. Another one is, for instance, this eggplant with aged yogurt. Aged yogurt is like not something that's making a big sort of splash on menus. Kashk is what it's called in every country in the Levant, as well as, Iran basically has a version of this, right? And, chef is already presenting me with peeled items. Wow. I think this is enough to blend, basically. So my ratio on this recipe is basically an eggplant to 2 peppers. And then we put a little bit of garlic confit, a little bit of fresh garlic, and blend it all together. I like chunky emulsions as well, and this can make a really good chunky emulsion. And in fact, if you buy this in the store, typically, and which stores would you buy this in? Eastern European stores. If you go to a Russian, a Romanian, Ukrainian, Bulgarian store, you're going to find this. And there are other countries will make versions of it that have different names. But essentially, it's a roasted pepper. It's a preservation of summer with olive oil, right? That's the idea. So we'll put, this is a chunky garlic, so I'm going to cut it into a couple small pieces. I know it's a demo, but I just don't think it'll blend evenly. So we'll put this fresh garlic in there. This is because we want that fresh garlic flavor on the beef tartare. Specifically, I'm putting fresh garlic in here. However, at the restaurant, with a lot of our dishes, and we were talking about chilbur, Turkish eggs, which does take fresh garlic. But one of the things that I'm very conscious of, and Laura and I have sort of developed this idea over the years, is fresh garlic is considered ethnic. So we use confit garlic a lot as well in our cuisine. So a little bit of cumin, a little bit of coriander. I always use them in a pair, a little bit of paprika, a good amount of salt, and I'll use lemon juice in this. But I also find the raisiny flavor of sherry vinegar very Middle Eastern because we use a lot of molasses. So our, even though it comes from Western Mediterranean, we'll use a lot of sherry vinegar in our cuisine. And that's it. And what am I missing in this? Olive oil. So olive oil is really the sort of stabilizer and the preserving element. And obviously the vinegar is too. But a good amount of olive oil. It also provides the fat in the absence of mayo for the beef tartare. We'll demonstrate the texture. Okay, I'm really just next going to show the texture, but I wanted to, it was always open, but I want to invite more questions. Let me know what you want to know about, and I'm happy to explore it with you. So, yes. Cool. Any other pepper emulsions that you can think of that we didn't talk about? Muhammara, that's right. And muhammara is delicious, right? So we make an almond muhammara at Dalida, and it's one of our main spreads on our breaking bread platter. However, you can make it with walnuts. Typically, it gets a lot of fresh garlic. We get sometimes scolded for not using fresh garlic in our muhammara, but it's all with purpose, actually. So this is a very traditional, classic color for an ivar. And then with the red chunks of meat, it basically comes to a really pinkish emulsion, if you will, on the plate. So this is a tool, right? Like it's almost like a bechamel that you could add to any preparation that you can imagine. We've used this, again, as a flatbread sauce, and it makes a really rich thing instead of just a tomato thing. Oh, and then we forgot the jalapenos. We were supposed to get a couple jalapenos inside, too. But it's okay. There are a lot of different versions. Jalapenos, we just want to give it a little bit of a kick. Yeah, I'll take it out of the view, so we forget about it. I'm going to taste this really quick. I'm curious, actually. Yeah, I mean, that smoke backdrop obviously works really well with the beef tartare.
So thank you to Nancy Cruz for giving us this sort of business insight and a basis to look at brunch. Thank you to Chef Sayat, who's always just such a pleasure to work with, and really creative, interesting food. So make sure if you're flying out of San Francisco airport and your flight gets delayed or canceled, visit Dalida over the weekend. Really beautiful spot. So thank you. Thanks, Chef Sayat. And so now, sadly, we're ending Worlds of Flavor. We'll be heading to our World Marketplace, but before that, we have some quick closing remarks, and I'd like to bring back up Robert E. Jones.
Thank you. Good to see everyone. I hope you've had an incredible time. I know that I've gained at least 5 pounds in the last 3 days. Hopefully you have too. That's the goal, right? I wanted to say a quick word about Chef Sayat and Lauda. I don't know if you heard his story, but they met at CIA as graduates in 2014, so you may not have known, but we're also in the matchmaking business. And they've become an incredible powerhouse team. CIA is actually partnering with the NFL and an organization called Gen Youth for an event around the Super Bowl called Taste of NFL, and all of those proceeds are going towards childhood hunger. And they reached out to us and said, we want to feature CIA chefs in this event with Andrew Zimmern and Carla Hall, and said, do you have any like rock star alums that should be involved in this? And there was just no question at all that Chef Sayat and Chef Laura should be part of this. So they will be headlining an event around the Super Bowl with Chef Andrew Zimmern and Chef Carla Hall that will raise millions of dollars for childhood hunger, and they are doing that for free. I think we ought to give them a round of applause for that. I also, speaking of saying thank yous, I had the great opportunity to be part of the dinner last night with Chef Musa and taste his menu. And it's the first of 4 dinners. There will be one tonight, Saturday, and Sunday. Sadly, the first 3 days are all sold out. I think there might be just a few seats for Sunday. So again, if you're hanging around for the weekend, I would recommend buying one of those tickets. The food was delicious, and of course, what an incredible man and generous as well. I'd like to give him a round of applause as well. So I have just a couple of things I wanted to put on your radar before I hand it back to Jennifer for wrapping up. We have a project coming out that I think is really exciting from our digital media initiative. It's the Plant Forward Kitchen Southeast Asia. This is the second edition of a video documentary series sponsored by the National Peanut Board and Pomowan, and thank you for that generous contribution. And it explores chefs of Vietnam and Thailand. And we want to show you a sneak peek of this new series, and we have a quick introduction video I think we can play now for you.
Join us on a culinary journey through Southeast Asia, a region celebrated for its vibrant street food and bold flavors, and discover why it's one of the most delicious corners of the world. So join us for the Plants Forward Kitchen Southeast Asia as we take a lesson in creative cooking from Vietnamese and Thai chefs who are on the leading edge of this culinary movement.
Very excited about this. Oh, there's one more. Okay. Very excited about this coming out, and it's a great lead-in to our announcement about next year's Worlds of Flavor. So we're very excited to announce that the Worlds of Flavor theme is Asia on Our Menus 2026, East by Southwest. Designs on deliciousness from Japan and Korea to Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. And as always, that will be here in Napa Valley, November 6th through the 8th. And we'll be launching registration early in the new year. And we, of course, hope to see you at Worlds of Flavor next year as well. I would be remiss to not remind you about a couple of the other incredible thought leadership and industry leadership activities that we have coming up. We have mentioned this a few times along the way, but this is a brand new conference that's launching May 6th through the 8th next year with Stanford Medicine, Food is Life, Food is Health. And this is a really, I think, going to be a transformational event and connecting the dots between two groups of people who should be talking more in the food as medicine, wellness, health, performance, longevity space between chefs and healthcare professionals, bringing them together for a few days for basic nutritional training, information, and then obviously a highly experiential couple of days in the kitchen together. So we expect that this will sell out quickly, and we hope it's a model that we can scale up and make available even at a broader level in the future. Additionally, we have Menus of Change, which many of you are familiar with, that'll be coming up at our Hyde Park campus in June next year. But Menus of Change will have a little bit different feel to it this year. We're going to be focusing in on a handful of topics that the announcements will be coming out about very soon, and taking a lens towards what are the challenges that the food and beverage industry are going to be facing in the next 10 years, and sort of a future casting perspective, and looking at those challenges, likely scenarios around those themes and topics, and then working backwards to help those of you in industry to think about how do we get towards the most optimal outcome towards these scenarios, challenges and opportunities that we'll see in the future. We obviously also have, again, focused on the Mediterranean, our international conference, which I just returned from Greece from this year. Incredibly exciting and valuable experience. Tomorrow Taste Mediterranean will move back to Barcelona next year, and will be October 19th through the 20th in Barcelona, and then we'll move back to Greece, and it'll bounce back and forth as we try to expand a more comprehensive view of the Mediterranean and cover a wider cross-section of the countries and the cultures across the Mediterranean. We, of course, hope you're able to join us for that as well. So I think that gives you a highlight of the thought leadership activities that are coming up. I just real quickly want to say that I hope that you had an incredible time at Worlds of Flavor. I know that I did. And as you can imagine from all of the activity that happens behind the scenes with incredible chef support like Chef Rebecca Pizer, which let's give her another round of applause. Chef Tony and Heston, the entire CIA team, all of the volunteers. our team in the Center for Food and Beverage Leadership, buzzing around, registration, name tags, all of the moving parts behind the scenes. Please give my team a round of applause as well. It's an incredible undertaking. And just for final words, now I'll hand it back to Jennifer to wrap us up. And thank you again.
Thank you, Robert. I also just wanted to thank my Center for Food and Beverage colleagues and my fellow program team. We're here in full force under the leadership of Robert Jones. Robert's been here for about 5 months, and it's been a true pleasure to work under your leadership. And then I wanted to highlight just some of our operations team is led by David Brooks, our sponsorship team by Rachel Hoover, our broader Copia team under the direction of Adam Busby, and also big thanks. We were in the CIA was in full force this year at Worlds of Flavor. We had colleagues come from Hyde Park, our Greystone campus, our San Antonio campus, all to help us in myriad ways. We are especially indebted to our AV team. Applause for them, please, under the direction of Evan McCardle. And it bears repeating that Worlds of Flavor does not happen without our culinary team led by Chef Tony Sakaguchi, hands down the hardest working chef in the industry. Culinary volunteers join us every year, and we're indebted to their enthusiasm, talent, and hard work. They're guides for the chefs who join us from around the world. Our CIA Accelerated Culinary Arts professional students joined us for sessions and in the kitchen to assist with Wolf chefs. So learning happening at all levels of this conference. So I just wanted to say that Wolf is a celebration of food, global foodways, culinary education, and professional development, and the incredible contributions of the cooks, chefs, and food experts who come from all over the world, taking time away from their businesses, their careers, their friends and family, to spend the better part of a week with us, to share their techniques, talent, and personal stories, and to inspire us in the process. My favorite part is seeing how excited chefs are to work in the world-class Heston kitchen, which one chef who's in this conference calls the best professional kitchen in the US. And over the course of the 3 days, to see our presenters, our culinary volunteers, our students mingling in our meal spaces, or to see them, I've been following along with many of them on social media, and to just see how thrilling it is for them to come here, to not, for chefs, for presenters who are new, they have no idea what Wolf is. So they get to come here and meet these people. They develop lifelong relationships, both personal and professional. And we hope that this has been your experience too. I always say Wolf is really just the most fun you can have networking. So I want to thank you all too, just again, for the attention, for the excitement, for coming up to myself and my colleagues and saying thank you. It's a really true honor to be sort of the lead of this program, and I am just grateful for every moment of it. So I do have just a couple of slides. So along those lines, we'll send you a survey, and we'd love your feedback and, in terms of just all your thoughts about the conference. And then also, I think, your ideas. I think there's an opportunity for you to share, you saw it next year's theme, things you'd like to see. And then again, this will send you the link and the password for the resources. You'll be able to experience the conference going forward. And so that's it. We're going to go on to our World Marketplace. And so this is our closing marketplace and lunch with delicious dishes by our guest chefs and sponsors. We will have live music by Carte Blanche, who is a jazz world music band, and then Alba Sonier Ole and Artie Securia will be signing books. So thank you so much.
Welcome to Peanuts in the Plant Forward Kitchen. I'm Ashton Pelham, and today we're diving into how school meals can help kids grow up healthy and happy with a little help from peanuts. Now, joining me today are two experts in school nutrition. We have Chef Aaron Smith, who's whipping up a delicious peanut-based recipe, and Angela Gomez, a registered dietitian who knows how to make school meals both nutritious and kid-approved. Now, Angela, balancing USDA guidelines with what kids will actually eat, that is no small feat at all. How do peanuts help you strike that balance?
Well, as you know, peanuts are a familiar favorite, especially in the form of peanut butter for a lot of our students. And we want to feed kids something that they're excited about, which peanuts are part of that. Peanuts are really versatile. They can be included in culturally relevant school meals, in globally inspired dishes, sauces, baked in breads. They can be in so many different things. On top of that, they're also nutritionally jam-packed. They have about 7 grams of protein per serving, which is more than any other nut. They also have healthy fats, fiber, and over 30 essential vitamins and minerals, so nutrient-packed.
Now, that's a great point. Peanuts really check a lot of boxes when it comes to nutrition, and clearly there's more to them than just PB&J. Now, Chef Aaron, walk us through what you're going to be cooking us today. It smells amazing in here.
Yeah, so today we're going to set up a peanut butter toast bar, right? It's a great way for kids to interact, a way for them to kind of build their own plate, as well as to touch on different global flavors as well. So today we're going to touch on 3 different types of peanut butter toast. We're going to do a spicy, we're going to do a fresh, and we're going to do a sweet one. So I'm going to start off with the sweet and spicy toast, which would include some orange marmalade, some sriracha, as well as cilantro.
Now, that sounds really delicious. Now, Angela, there are some schools out there, they're cautious about peanuts because of food allergies in particular. Is this as widespread as people think that it is?
Peanuts are one of the top 9 food allergens in the US, and all food allergies should be taken seriously. However, banning peanuts gives a false sense of security. So it's best in school cafeterias to plan and not ban. And the truth is, we're serving a lot of foods that could be potential allergens to some of our students. The way we manage those foods and keep those foods safe is the same thing we can do with peanuts. So training, proper food labeling, and proper food preparation.
It would be great to have peanuts back on the menu everywhere. I hate for kids to miss out on this great nutrition, and wow, how does that look? It looks so amazing.
Orange marmalade, some sriracha for a little bit of heat, and some cilantro.
Wow.
And then if you could help me out.
Yep. I'll grab this piece of toast right here. It's already got a spread on it.
So you can start with the banana split. Bananas, you have some chocolate chips and a little bit of caramel. And I'm going to work on the one with the fresh berries.
Now, this is pretty easy.
I'm just going to supervise you all, okay?
Now, Chef Aaron, how do you handle peanut allergies in your operation?
Well, we make sure we do a lot to make sure there's awareness about peanuts. The way we went about it, we first incorporated peanuts in high school level, middle school, and then created a lot of signage for the elementary students. And with our signage, we make sure that we have pictures of what a peanut is versus just relying on the word peanuts. Less than 1% of our students has a peanut allergy, so we want to make sure that those students are super aware that we have peanuts, but also give the students who love peanuts the opportunity to have it. For me personally, my daughter has a peanut allergy, so I make sure that she is super aware, ask the questions, know what it looks like, but her friend still eats it. They still have the trail mixes. They still have the other things. And she would check. She said, I see a peanut.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chef Aaron, this looks beautiful right here. I see we have the sweet, we have the split, and then we have the spicy.
The cool thing about this, right, you can have as much fruit as you want. And I understand the USDA rules about added sugars, but a little drizzle doesn't hurt of honey. And another cool thing that we can do with this concept, we can make this a peanut butter grab-and-go box for like grabbing on the classroom, field trips, all the things for the banana split. You can have a little thing of bananas, chocolate chips, and the students can build their own. So you have a lot of flexibility with this concept.
Chef Aaron, Angela, thank you both. We learned that peanuts are not only packed with nutrition, but when prepared safely and creatively, they can be a powerful part of school meals, both breakfast and lunch included. Now, thanks for watching Peanuts in the Plant Forward Kitchen. I'm Ashton Pelham. See you next time. And seriously, where was this food when I was in school?
Right?
Lemongrass tofu is intensely flavorful, packed with fragrant and citrusy lemongrass and crispy golden tofu. This plant-based dish, called da wu sa in Vietnamese, is delicious served with rice, rice noodles, or in fresh spring rolls. The first step to making this dish is marinating the tofu. In a bowl, toss minced lemongrass, soy sauce, chilies, turmeric, which gives the tofu its yellow color, palm sugar, rice wine vinegar, and lime zest. Pour this over the cubes of Nasoya Organic Superfirm tofu and allow the tofu to marinate for 30 minutes, tossing occasionally. After the tofu is marinated, we're ready to cook. Heat 2 tablespoons of oil in a large nonstick frying pan over medium heat. Arrange the marinated tofu in a single layer and cook. Turning occasionally with chopsticks or a fish spatula until browned and caramelized on all sides. Avoid overcrowding the pan when browning tofu to ensure even cooking. Top the lemongrass tofu with peanuts, cilantro, sliced chilies, and some freshly shaved lemongrass. Serve the tofu with a side of jasmine rice. You will love this dish's perfect balance of sweet, spicy, and savory flavors. Enjoy!
Hi, my name is Brandon Collins, and I am the Corporate Executive Chef for Unilever Food Solutions North America. And today we're going to make a quesillo, or queso Oaxaca omelet. It's literally just queso in a pan. We're going to get it nice and crispy on the outside, and we're going to roll it up. But we're going to stuff it with lobster roll filling. In Oaxaca, there's this amazing street food cart that does these beautiful quesillo omelets, is kind of what I call them. They stuff them with tasajo, which is the salted beef that's prevalent in Oaxaca, and some onions. And it's absolutely delicious. It's one of the most amazing things I think I've ever eaten in my life. And since it's not prevalent here in the US, I figured why not put a little bit of lobster roll filling in. It's that time of year, and it's absolutely delicious. Who doesn't love a lobster roll, right? So we're just gonna make a really simple lobster roll filling, but we're actually gonna use the flavors of Oaxaca. So we have about 1/4 cup of diced onion, 1/4 cup of diced celery. Add lobster that's been cooked. It can be frozen lobster, just as long as it's chopped and cooked all the way through, you're ready to rock and roll. We're gonna add some cilantro. And then another big thing whenever I was in Oaxaca was the flavors of cumin and the flavors of cinnamon or canela were very, very prominent. So we're gonna add that to our lobster roll mix as well. And then lastly, the star of the show, the piece de resistance, the Hellmann's Extra Heavy Mayonnaise. We're going to add about a cup of this. And we're utilizing the extra heavy because we're going to heat this up, right? So we want that stability to be able to withstand the heat as it's going into the pan. We're just going to stir this up. All right, so now that our lobster roll filling has sat for a little while and let those flavors bloom, we're going to actually make the quesillo omelet. So we're going to start heating up our pan. And while that's getting hot, we're going to actually spray a little bit of pan spray. I use pan spray just because I find it a little bit easier to coat the whole bottom of the pan. And remember, we're cooking cheese, right? We don't want it to stick. We want to give it as little shot as possible of sticking to the pan. And then we're going to take our queso Oaxaca, and it's the original string cheese, right? So it shreds. And there's amazing, amazing people in Oaxaca that are constantly shredding this cheese regularly on the side of the road in restaurants. Just an absolutely amazing cheese. I love it. And I really, really love it whenever you cook with it. So we're just going to put this right down in the pan. Not a ton of cheese, right? You don't need a lot. We just want to start to fill it up. And as you'll see, as it starts to melt, it releases any water that's sort of left in there. And it'll start to melt and kind of coat the whole bottom of this pan. So think of like a frico. Right? That sort of same general thing where we're trying to brown this cheese, get it crispy on the outside, but keep it nice and kind of absolutely creamy on the inside as we go to roll this omelet. You see it melts down really, really well. You want to try to make sure that there's no like holes in the middle as you go to set it up, just so that way as you go to roll your omelet, just like a French omelet, it'll be one whole solid piece. Now we're going to let it start to brown. We're going to let it do its thing. It's starting to brown up a little bit over here. You can move your pan around a little bit. Try to get it as even as possible, just so that way it cooks and it gets that same color all the way around. You can see how it's already starting to pull up a little bit if I roll over. You want to do it somewhat slowly, right? You don't want to do it super fast because you want all of that moisture to come out. We're going to take some of our beautiful, beautiful lobster roll filling. We're going to set it right down into that cheese. You don't need to season this. The cheese itself is salty. And then you add the mayonnaise as well that has some salt content to it. And then the lobster by nature is salty as well, right? Roll that over. Get it nice and beautiful. Make sure that all of it is cooked really well. Turn that off. And we're going to get ready to plate. So here we got a little bit of micro cilantro and some flowers as well. A lot of flowers are used in Oaxaca, right? It's a beautiful area. Very, very fertile growing. Make sure that it's completely able to slide off. Beautiful crunchy cheese, gooey inside with that lobster, the cheese as well. A little bit of micro cilantro on top, right? Doesn't need to be anything crazy. Everything that's inside is going to be what makes it absolutely delicious. Then we're going to put a little bit of these beautiful flowers on here as well. Just to add a little pop of color. It also adds a beautiful flavor. A nice floral note to the otherwise heavier cheese and lobster. Maybe a little borage flower in there as well. A little bit of these marigolds too. Beautiful. Quesillo omelet with lobster roll filling.
Chilled soups using summer ingredients can be found all over the European Union. France's vichyssoise, Bulgarian tarator, German kalte Gurkensuppe, and Portugal's gazpacho alentejano. Spain's southern region of Andalusia is known for its garlicky chilled version of tomato soups, gazpacho and salmorejo. They are light and refreshing on a hot summer's day. Here's my take on a chilled tomato soup. In place of traditional day-old bread, I'm adding salted crackers from Romania here. They've been soaked in water and will add body and a nutty, creamy texture as well as seasoning to the soup. I'm adding Croatian tomato sauce as the base, along with some Polish paprika and smoked salt from Germany. Red bell pepper and Espelette pepper vinegar from France adds mild heat with sweet, fruity, and acidic notes. I'm adding this olive oil from Greece that is garlic infused to add some extra garlicky flavor. I'm garnishing my chilled soup with some sliced Iberico chorizo from Spain, which has been fried in olive oil for a nice umami-rich crunch. This gazpacho is more than just a summer soup. It's a snapshot of European flavor and geography blended into one dish that's inspiring, accessible, and globally relevant. To resemble the traditional egg garnish, I'm also topping the soup with olives stuffed with Parmigiano Reggiano. This cow's milk cheese has protected designation of origin or PDO status, which guarantees it is made exclusively in Italy following strict traditional methods. I love the briny flavor of the olives paired with the sweet and savory soup. Give the soup one last drizzle of oil, though this time I'll be using pumpkin seed oil, also known as Steirisches Kürbisgrünöl from Austria. It adds a deep, rich green color and a burst of summer squash flavor. This pumpkin seed oil has PGI or Protected Geographical Indication label. This label certifies that at least one stage of the production, processing, or preparation of the product takes place in the region of its geographical origin. Lastly, I'm going to garnish with a touch more of the smoked sea salt from Germany. And serve! I love celebrating and updating traditional European recipes with my own favorite ingredients and influences. And I hope you'll love this reimagined classic European summer dish as much as I do. This chilled summer soup is so refreshing and really is what both chefs and home cooks alike are craving. Something light, bright, and flavorful using high-quality pantry staples.